Hello everyone, welcome to the Redmen TV. It's the build-up show.
James and his cape.
James has come. James, Phantom of the Opera there in the Darkwing Sutton in the corner. Liverpool travel to Southampton on Monday to kick off our 2021 fixtures. Of course, top of the table, but with a chance, of course, that Liverpool drop points, that Man United will creep up behind us like the horror movie villain that they have been for so long, and knife us in the back. Chris Page joins me again, Darth Sutton, and John Machin as well. Great to have everyone here for this one. Everyone's had a Boss New Year and all that kind of stuff. Chris, it's a...
He's moaning about being cold. He's got ice in his fucking drink. I can hear it.
Yes. Got an ice cream cone in one hand and an iced tea in the other, and he's complaining about being cold. Yeah, James. I feel like it might not be your central eating that's the problem. Right, yes, Chris, we're here again. Kind of similar to the Newcastle build-up in this regard. Obviously, we've come off the back of a disappointing game. There is a little just underlying, in some regards, quite overt feeling of misery, and I think it's largely because the world's just still a bit shite, regardless of the fact that we've ticked the number up by one on the total year on the year. We could do with Liverpool just getting back on it now, because we built ourselves up a nice little comfort zone. You know, the win over Tottenham was great. The smashing Crystal Palace, great. We got ourselves up and loads of people dropped points. We're allowed to not be perfect, but we've now eaten up that buffer with the two draws back to back. If we want to keep everyone else in our shade, then we're going to need to start winning games.
Oh God, yeah, it goes without saying, doesn't it? I think, the performance was all right the other night. We didn't score the goals, obviously, and it's disappointing. I think, 2020's had a massive impact on everybody. If we could just wipe that off, that would be great. If we go back to the form of 2019, that would be even better for me.
Yeah.
We need to go out there, and I think very often I think it's easy for me to sit here and say we need a performance. It feels like we as fans need a performance from our team right now, to just sort of put your best foot forward going into the new year, and so that everybody can kind of drop it. I mean, I'd love a goal from Salah in this one. I'd love a goal from Salah or Mane or Firmino. I'd just love a goal, actually. I had 90 minutes without one. I really need a goal, Paul.
Yeah, I could completely agree on that. And it's look, Southampton, difficult test. They're one of the teams that it's not shown by the league position at the moment because they're down in 9th, but it's so tight there that they're 4 points behind Manchester United at the moment, although United do have that much vaunted game in hand, of course. But they're good. They're a very, very good side, Southampton, and they always have been. They've always been a bit of a tricky opponent for us because they've always been able to match us for intensity. They're very good at, they're a good footballing team that works very, very hard. So this is not going to be. On paper, when we looked at West Brom and Newcastle, we were all banking on 6 points and then see how you get on against Southampton. So now that the tables have turned, it means we're going to have to work a damn sight harder to get those points.
Yeah, it's the hardest of the three games, isn't it? I mean, West Brom and Newcastle were on paper much easier games than Southampton, who flirted with the top of the table this season, been doing well. Even though they keep losing Danny Ings to injury, he keeps coming back and going out again. Adams has suddenly, struck in some form and scoring goals. So Ings and Adams together are quite a handful. So I think our defence will have its work cut out. And in those circumstances, we do need our forwards to start firing again and scoring goals.
Yeah,
taking our chance.
Sorry, John. The only thing there is that Southampton have been good, and it's funny, isn't it? Because there's so many games in such a short space of time, you kind of lose track a lot of the time where these teams are. I mean, they ain't scored in 3 games. They haven't scored a goal in the league since the 16th of December. I know it's only a couple of weeks and stuff, but it's 4 games
15
ago.
games
4 games ago, you know what I mean? And that was a 1-1 draw with Arsenal, who were in atrocious form at the time. but still, generally speaking, they've got a good goal difference. They've scored quite a lot of goals, actually. I think there or thereabouts with Tottenham for how many goals they've scored, which tells you how good they were in the early part of the season and what we should be looking to sort of plan for, rather than the team that hasn't scored in 3 games. It's good, but they don't concede loads and loads of goals either, to be fair. I think a couple of 0-0 draws last 2 games, a 1-1 draw not that long ago. I think they got beat 1-0 by Manchester City as well in there. So they're a good side, and they're going to make us work for a result. I think that's the thing. It's if Liverpool win this game, it's not going to be an easy route.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. You're right. The form does favour us just about. Our form's been not exactly scintillating. Obviously, you haven't drawn the last 2, won the 2 before that, and then the draw prior to that against Fulham. Their last win, as you say, goes back to a 3-0 win over Sheffield United. Since then, draw with Arsenal, lost to City, drew with Fulham, and drew with West Ham. So we should have enough fun in this one, Jason. I think the encouraging thing, and look, we talked on the final words about the Newcastle thing, about what Liverpool did in terms of not just the starting selection, but also the substitutes. The bench looked very healthy, but the remaining question is how match fit they were and how willing Klopp was to throw them in. There's going to come a point, if that's the case, and if the justification for not playing more than 15 minutes of Thiago is that he wasn't capable of doing it, if the justification for not starting Oxlade-Chamberlain is because he needed more time under his belt, we are going to reach a point where these lads are capable of putting down performances for us, and you'd bank on it being a bit more likely that, at the very least, barring any unforeseen circumstances between now and then, Thiago should be able to play more football, and Oxlade-Chamberlain, and we might even have, you could even have like a Naby Keita back, but that would be a wonderful bonus.
Yeah, I think those are the 2 for me that I would more than expect to see either start or at least have a serious part to play. I think going back to what you're saying, on paper it's the toughest of the 3 games, but perversely I think it might be the perfect game for us, actually. And I'm not saying for a second that we were complacent against West Brom or Newcastle, but we raise our game against teams that are have a better caliber of player that push us harder. We do raise our game. Like the Tottenham game is a perfect example of that. Tottenham were in a great run of form. There was talk, at the time I think they were joint top with us or something, and we blew them away. And I expect a similar thing with Southampton. A really, really fit team. That's one thing I will say about Southampton. They can run and run and run, and that suits us down to the ground, man. Because we're going to be looking for a reaction. The players should be pissed off. Our lads should be really, really pissed off, and should be relishing the opportunity to go down to the South Coast to a team that people talk about really, really positively, and absolutely batter them. That's exactly what's needed.
It feels like there's an opportunity here, Chris, where we look at the Leicester game, look at the Wolves game, and then to some extent, it's mentioned there, obviously Tottenham Hotspur, Arsenal, an example of this. I think we have a healthy respect for teams like this, because they actually do. They do have good footballing players in there. They're not just going to go and put everybody behind the ball. Now, they might have the capability to do that. Maybe they'll shift their game plan slightly to be a bit more like that, because it's been paying dividends out in recent weeks against us. But this feels like a team where, exactly what James is saying there, I think we take these very seriously, these kind of games, and it's an opportunity for us to prove ourselves. I don't think there's any proving yourself against bottom 6 teams in a weird way, but against pretenders to the Champions League kind of like throne or whatever, we do tend to raise our game, and we do tend to kind of try our best to put on a bit of a show and lay a mark.
I think that's right. I think that's fair to say. I think without labouring too much on the sides that we've drawn against, that needs to change regardless. But when it comes to just physically looking at Southampton here, Southampton are a good side who play good football under whose house and huddle, or whatever you friggin' say it, whatever, Ralph. And he's not there to wreck it, is he?
Yeah.
To be fair, he is there to play football and stuff like that. Yeah. It's just you.
Nailed
it's
it.
fine.
Yeah. That was nice. That was really nice, mate.
But he plays good football. They play good football, and Liverpool seem to do better when sides play football against us.
Yeah, no, I think we do indeed. Right, yeah, we're going to be talking about the Liverpool selection and what we go with in this, because there is a selection headache potentially for Jurgen Klopp, and not just like, oh my God, how do these players continue to play more minutes? It's like we've actually got lads who we could, say it in hushed tones, rotate in this one. But before we do, have a little sneak peek at our wonderful two-part mini-series that we've got streaming right now on the redmentv.com. It's the 50 greatest moments of the Jurgen Klopp era so far.
Fight like crazy, go for each ball, run more, fight more, jump higher. That's what we have to do.
From Basel to Madrid, back to Anfield and everywhere in between, it's hard to believe it's now over 5 years since the mad, brilliant Jurgen Klopp took over as manager of Liverpool Football Club and single-handedly turned us all from doubters to believers. We've laughed, we've cried, we've had incredible let-offs and disastrous heartbreaks. It's safe to say it's been one hell of a ride, but at the end of a long year for everyone, let's not forget that 2020 brought with it a whole new chapter of unforgettable Klopp moments. And here at the Redmen TV, we thought this Christmas would be a good time to sit down, look back and reminisce at just all of the brilliant Jurgen moments that we've seen unfold since the day that changed everything in October 2015. So sit back, have a glass of mulled wine and a mince pie, and join us as we look back at the 50 biggest moments of the Jurgen Klopp era, as voted by you, the Redmen TV fans.
Yes, welcome back. The 50 greatest moments. James, we got you in to do some voiceover work for that.
Yeah, man, I really enjoyed it. I like doing things like that. It was good fun, and I feel like my contribution has, in some ways, elevated the whole project up now. We're right up there, and I'm happy to do that.
It was international caliber, and he's just made. It was like bringing Thiago on with 15 minutes to go. Like, it was all done. It was all looking really, really good, really polished. And then James just come on and added a sprinkling of magic over.
He just hits the notes on it, though, doesn't he? You know what I mean? It's very easy. It's very easy. It makes it look easy, I should say. Yeah. It's not at all.
Yeah. That two-part miniseries is streaming now on the redmentv.com. If you go and sign up at either tier, you can get access to that and a whole amazing suite of wonderful Liverpool content, documentaries and interviews with Liverpool players past and present. We had a trivia question which I totally forgot to do before the break. That Sadio Mane has scored once against Southampton, but how many has he scored for Southampton against Liverpool? Anyone want to have a guess?
3.
I'd have said, I don't know the answer to this one. I'd have guessed 4. James, what do you think?
I'd have said 3 as well. Yeah.
And the answer is 4.
Smashed it. And for a bonus point for yourselves and also for people watching along, how long did it take him to score his famous hat-trick against us?
Not long.
5 years.
The answer was 2 minutes and 56 seconds. There you go. Of course, breaking the record set by Robbie Fowler, as I recall. Chris, Pajak, Joel Matip, we're told by Jurgen Klopp is out for 3 to 4 weeks, which is good.
Ish.
Yeah, it's not bad. There was a lot of rumours that he was out for the season. So in that regard, it's encouraging. I do think it's interesting that he's going to be out for the period in which Liverpool are probably going to be shopping for defenders, but enough that it just again just keeps it on the into suspicion of, well, listen, Joel Matip's going to be back soon, so it's not like you can really hold us to hostage over this one.
This sounds terrible, but I'd almost rather him be out for longer so that we definitely do go and sign a centre half, to be honest. It sounds terrible, but genuinely, I think that might have actually fucking, because Klopp's so stubborn, you know what I mean? He just might not, and I really hope that we do sign a centre half or two. And look, I really like Matip. I think he's a great player when he's on the field, and the problem there is that he's not on the field enough and isn't able to get those games together. So for this game, it's really about who partners him, isn't it, Paul? Is it Reece Williams? Is it Nat Phillips?
What, on the injury? On the injury list?
Sorry, who partners Fabinho, I should say.
Because that's as likely as well, to be honest, at this point.
Naby, Shaqiri, Ox probably again.
It is the big question, really, it's one of the big questions. We've got a lot of choice, in the midfield now, so that's going to be an interesting one. But this is a question of does Nat Phillips go again? Is he in rotation with Reece Williams? Do we have to do something a bit more outlandish for this one? Does having more midfield options mean you can actually pull Henderson out of the midfield if you really wanted to for this one? What do you think?
Well, at the back, I'd only play Nat Phillips if we think they're going to be throwing crosses in. I'm not sure they're that kind of a side, even though Danny Ings would be pretty good in the air. But so I would think Reece Williams would come in. In midfield, I mean, we've got so many choices, but again, he'll probably play. I'm hoping he'll play Thiago. Why not? Let's give him a start. But then you're playing him with Henderson, I think, and the third spot's interesting because Curtis Jones clearly struggled against Newcastle, and it may well be that he needs a bit of a rest. Yeah. In which case, you need You need a midfield player with a little bit more attacking there. Minamino might actually get a shot, actually. He hasn't played in the last game or two. Tricky. I mean, I wouldn't particularly want to make the decisions, but I do hope Thiago plays.
I wonder if there's a working backwards thing from this, James, because if you rotate, I don't think there's a way where we don't heavily rotate for Aston Villa. I think there's a lot of guys who were on the fringes and stuff who will be getting minutes, and so really, it's probably not a bad game for Curtis Jones to come back in for Aston Villa. It's Monday to Friday, so there's not a great gap between them, but it's manageable all told. I wonder whether there's a team there who need minutes plus a couple of younger lads who could do with the experience, and you want to make sure that you can get them out there because it's a game. Because it's a bit of a free hit, and a lot of people kind of will be riled up by the notion of us using the FA Cup as a free hit. But we talked about this again last week. You can't throw. There's certain lads we're not prepared to throw in because you want to protect them, you want to bring them back more sensibly, and also there's just an issue of match sharpness that you can't be having too many lads lacking match sharpness in games that you have to win. I wonder whether there'll be a little bit of that impacts this team selection for Southampton.
Yeah, but equally, I wouldn't be surprised to see Jurgen Klopp really go for the Villa game and really try and win that trophy. It's something that we haven't won for a while now, and it's important. So I wouldn't be surprised to see a full strength squad for that, a full strength starting 11. And equally, Klopp loves to throw things around like that we perhaps don't expect. I just want to see Ox play, man, in the Southampton game. I want to see him start. I was so excited to hear that he was back from injury. He had a little cameo, and I really wanted him to come on and do some damage in the Newcastle game, and we know that didn't happen. I think it's crying out for someone like him to come in with his drive and his verve, and he just wants to keep going forward. And I feel like against a team like Southampton, there's going to be space, there's going to be opportunities. They're going to be committing bodies forward, and having someone like Oxlade-Chamberlain starting for me, I think would really, really benefit from that.
I think for me, I think Wijnaldum goes back into the side for a start Monday night. He's rested, rotated for the last game against Newcastle, so he's a guaranteed start for the midfield for me. I'm looking at James Milner because of that as probably your captain against Villa, or thereabouts your captain against Villa. He'll be on the field against Aston Villa on the Friday night.
No sign of Andy Robertson in the FA Cup at all.
No way. So the midfield for me is probably Gini. Plus, maybe Henderson gets a break this time around. Maybe Thiago comes in and +1. I'd like to see that as a midfield. Maybe throw Gini in the 6 or Thiago, whichever one you decide is going to play in the 6. And then is it Kurt? Is it Ox? Are we going? Because what was interesting about the Newcastle game is I don't think, we didn't talk about this on the final word actually. Maybe people would disagree with me, who knows, but I don't think it was a typical midfield 3 performance from Liverpool against Newcastle. I do feel that it wasn't exactly 4-2-3-1 and it wasn't exactly 4-3-3. It was sort of stepped. You know, you had the 6 and then you had Milner and then you had Kurt Jones a little bit further up. And I wonder whether that's sort of planning ahead. While we've had that little bit of time, you know, over Christmas where we've had 7 days without a game, where we've kind of got on the training ground and gone, look, we've got Thiago coming back here. Maybe this is more what we're going to see. We're going to see 2 lads who sort of sit a little bit deeper than what we would normally see in a 4-3-3 and one lad who's going to be a little bit more attacking. Which brings me on to my point of, I wonder if Shaqiri could play in the midfield as a sort of more of a creative kind of guy. Maybe it's too soon for him in this game, but if you've got a Henderson, Thiago Wijnaldum as your 2 sort of deeper ones, maybe that frees up a Minamino, a Shaqiri, a Kurt Jones to sort of rotate an Ox in that further forward position.
The thing for me is, again, we did this in the build-up to Spurs. I think the entirety of the AXA training centre will be geared towards what are getting our best 11 on the field for Man United. And these games between now and then are about making sure that we've got that. So Thiago is ready for 90 minutes against Manchester United. He's ready to start that game, however that looks. So if that means half an hour here, sound, if it means another 20-minute cameo and then maybe 20 minutes in the FA Cup and then it's, you know, or slightly more, it means that. And so that for me, I think what it really means is Jordan Henderson. I think Jordan Henderson does go again in this game because it's too important and he's too big and he's the captain. Jordan Henderson, the only way Jordan Henderson doesn't play is if you've got, you know, look, you've got a world where Fabinho's available, I think, in midfield. And it's it might be a bit of a dead rubber. That's not the case at the moment. So I think but what we don't know is, you're right, is what is our best midfield 3 when Thiago's available? Does Gini Wijnaldum go in there? Because there's a case to be made that Gini Wijnaldum was always planned on being phased out in this season. So Gini might simply not be in the plans for the midfield, in which case you're right. I think he still does play in this, but does he play in that? Is the best midfield? Actually, you're right. You know, a 6 in Henderson, an in-betweener in Thiago, who's pulling all the strings, and then you've got someone who actually plays closer to a 10 or more a free role behind the front 3. Well, who is that from who we've got available? I think he'd like it to be Naby Keita, but I don't think we'll ever trust that he'd be available at any time soon. Is it then making sure Curtis Jones is available for that game? Is it too much for him? So is it then Oxlade-Chamberlain? So is that our midfield 3 for Manchester United? And then it's a case of massaging them to the point where they are absolutely ready to peak.
I wouldn't want to give Man United too much sort of tape to look at of Thiago either. I think Jürgen will probably, you know, he'll always put a side out that he believes will win. Now, he believes weaker sides win games more than I think fans do. Like, we might look at it and go, oh no, that's too weak or something like that. But we've seen him against Everton over the years play some turgid sides and the kids and still get results and stuff like that. And no disrespect to those sides, by the way. It did sound like it. I didn't mean it like that. So, but also, like, I want Ole Gunnar Solskjaer to be surprised when Thiago starts almost and not have that bank of work, that body of work to look back on and go, how are we going to defend this lad? I want them thinking on the feet because I don't think they're good enough, United, to be able to do that.
Yeah, and again, it depends on their approach, doesn't it, and how well they want to sit in and whether it's another game where you need to unpick them or whatever. But in terms of this game, it's just a real shame. It'd be lovely to have a little bit of rotational option for the front 3, and I guess James Minamino's probably... Shaqiri's there, he got his 2-minute cameo against Newcastle for what it was worth. There's a chance that you might see him in the front 3. Minamino, again, it's a bit of a shame because he had such a good game against Crystal Palace and then we've not seen him since. I wouldn't be opposed to him doing a similar thing where you start him, do what we did against Palace, keep one of Salah or Mane in reserve, because this does feel like a game where we actually might need to have a little bit more to go to in the final half an hour.
Yeah, I think I agree about Minamino. I think he's more likely to start his best team and then work backwards from there. So I think you're more likely to see keep the front 3 as they are, and then assuming that we've gone a goal or 2 up, I think it's a perfect opportunity. I'd love to see more of Shaqiri as well. We forget he's a cracking little player when he comes on. So he really is. And he's obviously, he's found a bit of fitness again. Otherwise, he wouldn't be even on the bench, as we know. He's off and out for periods. I think we've suddenly got options, and it's nice. There was only it was only a month or so ago that we weren't having these conversations, not even about the midfield. So for the first time, it's a really healthy problem to have. And we've just got to go. We've got to go at Southampton. We've got to go at Villa, and then we've got to smash the Manx. We do those three things, and all of a sudden the season, it's looking a lot brighter than it has for the past week or so.
Yeah, completely agree on that. Just in terms of some of the games that are going to be happening in this game week, spread out over New Year's, Everton, West Ham. I could genuinely go either way. United, Villa. That's an interesting one. I think there's a lot of United fans who are seeing that as a bit of a foregone conclusion for some reason.
Yeah, and United home form's been shocking.
Yeah.
Shocking so far. As bad as our away form.
Yeah. Yeah, so I wouldn't put it past Aston Villa to do something to United there. But equally, United are in that kind of run of form where you can see them. We were looking at that for a place where United drop points, and they managed to squeak past, because Villa, you just don't quite know. They look poised to be dead good, and at the same time, not quite at the same time.
Like looking at the form table from the last 5 games, both Manchester United and Aston Villa have won 3 and drawn 2.
Solid. Spurs versus Leeds. I mean, Tottenham Hotspur, you suspect they'll get back on the horse again and start to pick up points. Newcastle, Leicester, you'd expect Leicester to pick that up. Chelsea City's an interesting one, Dad, because again, everyone's
playing for his job, Paul.
Yeah.
Or he's managing for his job, I should say.
Yeah, I mean, look, everyone's got that. People have been talking a lot about Chelsea this season. People are talking at the moment about Man United. 3 weeks ago, it was all about Tottenham Hotspur. But it's Man City for me. You know, they're in such a false position in the league because of the games in hand. They've got so much quality. They've got a boss squad and a boss manager, and they've not fallen so far from grace that they won't be there or thereabouts. But it would be we could really do with them just stumbling a little bit, because we can't really do with a situation where they get to play those games in hand, because you'd bank on them probably winning them.
The surprising thing about City this season is that they're not scoring goals. I never thought you'd say that about a City side, but they have been struggling a bit, and they've missed Aguero, and hasn't he gone down with COVID or something ridiculous? I don't know.
You can never tell.
So they are. I always feel that if you can keep City at bay for the first half, then you've got a chance of beating them. Yeah. But if you let them score an early goal, and that's the end of it, they just carry on and beat you. I mean, they are the side to beat apart from us, aren't they? And if Chelsea can beat them, I'll be a happy man.
I mean, you're right in that. Of the top 9 sides in the league, which obviously goes down to Southampton, City have scored the least goals of any of them.
They've got the best defence, though.
They have got the best defence, which is a good point indeed. But it's going to be an interesting one. Again, I'd probably bank City on that, but we've seen a lot of these stories in the league so far this season when it looks like a team's in really poor form, / they've had 2 or 3 sticky results, and everyone goes, oh, that's them done and finished, and then they'll go and pull a big, I'm talking about Arsenal here, beating Chelsea the other week. So no, I would bank on City taking the points there, but also as we well know, Chelsea are more than capable of doing something in that game.
Yeah, I think for me, from watching Chelsea over the last couple of weeks, I've actually watched quite a bit of Chelsea. Interested more to see how Werner and Havertz do and stuff like that. The one player that's caught my eye more than any other is Pulisic. Pulisic, he's been absolutely brilliant for Chelsea, and he just looks like such a good player, like one that almost got away for Liverpool, because every time he gets the ball, something happens. He just looks so dangerous. Mount's getting himself back into form as well. I don't think it'll be an easy game for Manchester City, and it wouldn't really surprise me if Chelsea do something there, because they are kind of backs to the wall at the moment, and Lampard is kind of fighting for his job. Rumours of Tuchel coming in and all that type of stuff as well. I mean, it's funny because Chelsea fans thought Lampard would be given time. There's no bank of evidence to suggest for 1 second that Abramovich has given any manager time just because he's an old blue. Yeah. Like Mourinho literally won the league with them, and he was an old blue, and they just got rid of him again. You know what I mean? And he was their best manager probably ever.
So it's going to be fascinating tonight. It's another really interesting set of fixtures. There's so many potential banana skins for so many of the teams that are in and around us, and I'm sure there's people doing this from the other side, from all of those perspectives, looking at it and seeing Southampton as that for us. So Liverpool very much need to be switched on for this one. Let's have some score predictions. Dad, what do you think it's going to be?
2-1.
James?
2-0.
Chris?
1-0 Liverpool.
Nice. I think 3-0 to Liverpool. I think this is where we put in a good, solid consummate all-round performance, or we do what we always do away against Southampton and make really hard work of it and then try and find a way to snatch it later on. I'd rather us just beat them comprehensively. Let us know your score predictions in the comments section underneath here as well. And as mentioned before, don't forget to go and check out the 50 greatest moments of the Jurgen Klopp era over on the redmentv.com, streaming right now with the wonderful voiceover work of Mr. James Sutton, of course. There's a whole host of amazing things as well there. If you join up at Club Legend level, you get access to our Discord group, which, unlike most football-related groups on the internet, is not full of blurts. It's full of really sound people, and it's a great way for us to have a little bit of chat about the Reds. You get discounts on Redmen merchandise. You get free Redmen merchandise as well, and a whole host of, again, brilliant content to keep you going through the next phase of tiered lockdowns. But yes, thank you so much for joining us for this show. The starting 11 prediction show will be out as well, so you can check that one out. And yeah, we'll be back with a live watch along for the game on Monday night, so come and check back on the channel for that one as well. Ta-ra.